My Hometown, story by Russell Griesmer, illustrated by Priscilla Wong. My hometown. Every town is built of stories. As we look through this text today, there are not a lot of words in the story, but I want you to pay attention to all of the details in the images. Pay attention to the newspaper. What do you notice? It looks like some magic might be happening. Look at the leaves on the left of the screen and on the right side of the screen. What do you think happened? As we're going through the next several pages of the story, I want you to pay attention to the buildings, the people, the clothing, the transportation, the lights, the things that you see happening on the pages. What do you notice? I saw some changes on this page. Did you? What do you see that changed? Read the signs on the pages as well, the words. Notice what people are doing. I wonder what's happening on this page. Thinking about time, how is it changing? Talk about what you notice. Oh, there's big changes on this page. I wonder why this page changed so much from the previous pages. I wonder what's going on in this page. Look at the signs. Talk about it with your teacher. And now this page. What do you notice? What do you think is happening? Discover the stories that built your hometown. And now let's read some of the text on this page together. It goes through different time periods. It says many towns were founded in the 1800s. Shortly after a town was founded, a town hall was often built. The hall served as the town's government center, but the buildings often became the center for important meetings and social gatherings. Does your community have a place where people gather for work and fun? So that was 1800s in the first picture. Second picture, introduced in 1908, the Model T was the first affordable American car. but that didn't mean everyone bought one right away. Until the 1920s, roads were often shared by cars and horse-drawn buggies. Imagine if some people still used horses for transportation while other people used modern cars. What problems could this cause? What would parking lots look like? By the 1920s, most small cities had paved streets, streetlights, public electricity, and water systems. This was a huge change from decades past. Work became easier, and people had more free time to do things like visit friends and family and go out for entertainment. Can you think of other inventions that have changed how people live and work? Looking at the top picture on the page. During World War II, 1939 to 1945, scrap metal drives were often held to support the war effort. The metal was needed to build tanks, ships, and planes. Children helped gather scrap metal, and often drives were even held at schools. What are ways that you and other children in your community help your town or neighborhood? Throughout American history, small-town residents have treasured and honored their local members of the military. Parades and ceremonies to mark send-offs, homecomings, and military holidays are often held. Does your community have any special celebrations to honor the military or other patriotic events? Why are events like this important? The 1950s were a time of growth in the United States. Main streets were filled with small shops to ice cream parlors. With small businesses of all sorts, everything from shoe shops to ice cream parlors. Find someone who was a child in the 1950s and ask them to share their memories with you. How is your life different? How is it the same? The 1960s was filled with highs and lows. A fight for civil rights for all people led to protests and sometimes violence in communities of all sizes. In contrast, the country came together to mourn the loss of a president and other great leaders and to celebrate landing on the moon. Space exploration filled the imaginations of many children in the 1960s. Imagine you have the chance to take a rocket into space. Where would you like to go and why? Take a look at that first colored picture. In the 1970s and 1980s, some small towns started to see population drops. Long-standing Main Street businesses started to close, but new businesses sometimes opened in their places. The illustration shows a group of children hanging out by themselves, playing together. How is this similar to a child's free time today? How might it be different? Communities often come together to raise money for special causes, like the town hall renovation in the illustration. What fundraisers has your school or community had? Did you help contribute to the fundraiser in some way? And the last page in the text says imagine and explain. Go back and look at the illustrations again, and note how the town has changed over the years. Which time period would you most like to visit and why? Are there any time periods you would not want to visit? Choose a person on any page. Make up a story about her or his life. What has changed since that person was your age? What has stayed the same? Choose a building on any page. What happens in that building? Are there buildings like that in your hometown? What does the word hometown mean to you? Describe your hometown. What do you know about the history of your town? Imagine you are living in your hometown 100 years ago. What is different? What is the same? Draw a picture of a building in your hometown. Now draw how you think it looked 100 years ago. Next, draw what you think it will look like 100 years from now. In this book, the boy is able to see the history of his hometown because of a magical newspaper. At the end of the book, a girl is catching the magical newspaper. What do you think she will learn about her hometown? You may not come across a magical newspaper, but there are other ways to learn about the past. What are some that you know about?